Mary's gone. She's dead.
Liar, that's a lie!
The Silent Hill series is known for many features that made us convinced that it's one of the best horror franchises of all time, if not the undisputed best. These features range from deep, meaningful stories to powerful and effective psychological elements that make you invested in the events just as much as the protagonists themselves.
Maria, I'm done with you.
What do you mean? But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever.
However, they are also known for having some of the most fascinating puzzles you can ever encounter in a game. And by fascinating, I mean complicated and sophisticated in a way that makes you frustrated and ask for help because your brain freezes. These puzzles are very diverse, and you can face them throughout the entire series, but there are 10 specific ones that simply got stuck in our heads and are very hard to forget. And I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that only geniuses and expert gamers are the ones who manage to figure them out fast without getting help or trying for hours until something happened out of nowhere. So in the comments below, be honest if you played Silent Hill games and solved these puzzles easily, or if you struggled and lost your mind finding a solution. Anyway, without further ado, let's just start. We talked multiple times on the channel about how disturbing Silent Hill 4 is and how it's a very unique installment in the series that somehow didn't get the credit it deserves. And that's why I really advise you to watch Florian's video about its story because it really summarizes everything you need to know about it. Anyway, what we didn't talk about yet is some of the crazy puzzles that you need to solve in the game, and I don't think anyone can disagree with the fact that the most confusing puzzle in the playthrough is none other than the Burned Doll puzzle. The Burned Doll is a puzzle that Henry must solve to progress further into Walter Sullivan's other worlds, and he encounters it during his second entrance into the forest world. After Jasper's demise during the initial visit to the forest, the Wish House orphanage has been consumed by flames, and amidst the scorched remnants, Henry comes across a wheelchair containing a burned life-size doll, and he also finds a memo nearby describing the doll and alluding to something hidden beneath it, which is the basement area of the orphanage. To solve the puzzle, Henry must collect all 5 parts of the burned doll, including the head, the 2 arms, and the 2 legs. But the problem is that the parts are scattered throughout the forest world, and Henry must find them while avoiding the various monsters that inhabit it. But that's not all, because there are actually 5 wells where you can recover the missing doll pieces, and these wells are located in different areas of the forest and shrouded in darkness, which makes the limbs difficult to recognize and see. To retrieve the doll components from these wells, Henry must have a lit torch with him, and its longevity can only be extended by soaking it in oil found in the laundry room. Anyway, you'll have a real hard time finding the required pieces because they're hidden in places that are very different from each other and sometimes can contain booby traps too. But it's definitely easier if you're a Silent Hill expert who can use their instincts to sense what's hidden behind the shadows. Silent Hill 3 is known for having some of the most complicated puzzles in the series, but there's definitely a specific unique one that I personally got stuck in for a while before figuring it out, and it's obviously the Flame Purifies All puzzle. The protagonist, Heather, encounters this puzzle while navigating the other world at the Hilltop Center, and it's located within the Gallery of Fine Arts. It requires you to burn a specific picture to progress, and the picture in question portrays a creature resembling the incubator, accompanied by a caption that says, "Flame purifies all. By these remains may a person find the road to paradise." If you play in easy and normal difficulty levels, then you'll find a junior high school chemistry book that serves as a hint for solving the puzzle, but this hint is absent in the hard difficulty setting. And that's when you can confirm if you're an expert in the franchise and have the instincts of a ruthless gamer who hunts puzzles with no mercy. The puzzle is designed to primarily put the player's scientific knowledge to the test, and also to evaluate their capacity to conclude potential outcomes by combining apparently unrelated items and objects that may seem pointless at first. In the other world, an empty canvas gets replaced by the painting in question with a basic bucket situated below it. In order to burn the painting and solve the puzzle, you must place the animal liver, oxydoll, and matchbook inside the bucket, which subsequently unveils a rectangular passage concealed behind the original picture. Even though it seems simple, when you hear someone talking about it, trust me when I say that it's a pain in the butt when you play the game for the first time with no clue about what's going on, especially since the required items look very irrelevant at first sight. There's no doubt that Silent Hill 2 is the most popular installment in the series, whether we think it's the best one or not, but one of the reasons that made it memorable is its well-designed puzzles that require you to focus and activate your ultimate brain, and the Louise puzzle is a big example of that. Within room 14 on the 3rd floor of Brookhaven Hospital, there is a compact and sturdy lockbox that is tightly fastened to the bed using twine, wrapped in chains and secured with 4 distinct types of locks. Close to this lockbox, there is a message written on the wall, seemingly using blood and possibly left by a patient at the hospital, and it says, "Louise, I'll take care of you forever. It's my destiny." To unlock the box, you'll need 2 keys and 2 sets of 4-digit combinations. First, you must combine the purple bowl key with the lapis eye key and use them. But if you want the process to be faster, you need to make sure to merge the keys instead of using them separately. For the push-button lock, you need to input the 4-digit code discovered on the carbon paper within the typewriter situated in examining room 3. All codes and memos, including this one, can be found in the memo section of the menu, and as for the combination lock, you have to enter the code found on the wall message written in blood in the special treatment room. This will unlock the box and get you back on your way to search for your wife, Mary, but you'll probably take a little break instead because the puzzle took more time than you thought to solve. I don't know how many of you played and finished the original Silent Hill that came out in 1999, but if you did, then you're probably one of the legends in gaming who live in a parallel dimension where other gamers, including me, are not allowed to get in. Because, to be honest, this is one of the few Silent Hill games that I'm still planning to play again to finish it. Even though I finished Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4 during their release time, for some reason I never went back to this one, and this is probably because Silent Hill 2 is the one that took the franchise's popularity to a whole new level. Anyway, the game is known for its crazy puzzles, but obviously certain ones are more confusing than others. And when people think of the hardest ones, the piano puzzle comes to mind immediately. The piano puzzle is located in the music room on Midwich Elementary School's 2nd floor. And once you've discovered the gold medallion and inserted it into the clock tower, the piano will open up to reveal its keyboard. On this keyboard, the central keys are stained with blood, and in order to make the silver medallion drop, which is the final item required to unlock the clock tower doors, the protagonist, Harry, must accurately press the correct sequence of keys. The hint for this puzzle is a poem attached to the chalkboard in the classroom, titled A Tale of Birds Without a Voice. But technically, it's not a hint, because it pretty much makes things even more confusing. The objective of this puzzle is to correctly play the quiet keys on the piano, aligning with the concept mentioned in the poem, but the catch is that among the 12 keys on the piano, 5 are actually silent. As indicated in the poem, which mentions birds that lack a voice, you need to figure out the compatibility and connection between each of these silent keys and the birds mentioned in the poem, considering that all the birds are either black or white. just like the piano keys. It's an easy task on paper, but practically, it's a stressful situation that definitely plays with your mind a little bit. Silent Hill Downpour is not the most popular installment when it comes to sophisticated puzzles, or when it comes to anything, if we're being honest, but a certain puzzle in the prison section of the game can actually be a notable exception. The first floor of the prison houses a workshop that was once dedicated to crafting license plates, and when the protagonist, Murphy, employs the forensic flashlight, somehow hidden numbers scattered around the workshop are brought to light and become visible, and these numbers are essential to access a door located directly across the corridor. Acquiring this code is necessary for advancing in the game, but it's worth noting that the workshop machines exhibit peculiar and bizarre behavior, occasionally activating by themselves. This necessitates a degree of caution on Murphy's part, as the noisy operation of some of these machines can attract the attention of prisoner minions, which are creepy monsters that you definitely don't want to face in such a situation. So if something goes wrong and a machine spontaneously activates, Murphy should promptly approach and manually switch it off as fast as he can to avoid attracting attention. The codes are different from one difficulty mode to another, and the sequence of these numbers follows an inconspicuous trail of unseen footprints that meander throughout the entirety of the workshop. In the normal and hard difficulty settings, the initial number 2 becomes visible on the ceiling, just slightly above the location where the forensic flashlight is discovered, and the second 2, which serves as the first number in the easy mode, is situated on a license plate hanging on a bulletin board. And number 3 remains concealed behind a movable box, while 4 lies on its side on top of a machine designed for rotating license plates. Murphy must activate the machine to unveil this number. And lastly, the last digit 5 is written from a vantage point above a table positioned in the corner, next to an empty line. So it's really a tough puzzle that requires both intelligence and caution at the same time, because if you don't react fast enough and avoid making noise, you can find yourself surrounded by dangerous creatures that mean you real harm. If we're talking about the Silent Hill games with the most emotional stories besides Silent Hill 2, then, in my opinion, Shattered Memories takes the second spot fair and square because it's actually a very deep journey that combines elements of fatherhood, family, and tragedy at the same time. However, the subject today is not the story because we're going to focus on a puzzle that made a lot of players confused and compelled to stop the game and go get some help from Mr. Google and Mrs. YouTube in order to find a solution for their struggle. The puzzle in question is called the Gumball Shake-Up Puzzle, and you encounter it towards the end of a nightmare sequence set in Toluca Mall. The only way to advance and escape the mall is for Harry Mason to successfully solve this puzzle. After eluding the disturbing monsters known as Raw Shocks, Harry stumbles upon a room containing frozen statues of a father and child, and as he approaches, his cell phone receives an echo message. The message features a man conversing with his wife over the phone, attempting to determine their daughter's favorite colored candy, and she responds that it's the one matching her preferred color, related to the mall's mascot. The father, unaware of the color, asks if it's the bird, and in this context, the bird refers to Tuki the Toucan, which is a character located in the mall's central square that Harry had previously encountered. Tuki's bill features stripes in 4 colors, pink, violet, red, and yellow, and to proceed, Harry must arrange 4 gumballs in the lower tray, each corresponding to one of these toucan bill colors. He can only achieve this by selecting the colors by shaking the top section of the machine and then placing them in the tray by turning the dial. The order of the colors is not really important here, and once the lower tray holds 4 gumballs of the colors, pink, violet, red, and yellow, the nightmare sequence finally gets complete, allowing Harry to continue his journey and allowing you to continue with your life after squeezing your mind in this weird puzzle. The Zodiac puzzle is basically a brain teaser in Silent Hill that's found in a place called Nowhere, after the final scene with Lisa Garland. The puzzle involves zodiac symbols and numbers that are linked to them, and the goal is to enter the right numbers under 3 zodiac images to get something called the Stone of Time. The puzzle clues are a set of plaques with zodiac figures and corresponding numbers. In other words, there are a group of plaques, each with a different zodiac sign and a number on it, and to solve the puzzle, you need to figure out how the zodiac signs and numbers are related. One possibility is that the numbers represent the order in which the zodiac signs appear in the zodiac cycle. For example, the plaque with the Libra symbol and the number 1 might represent the first sign of the zodiac, and the plaque with the Cancer symbol and the number 10 might represent the last sign of the zodiac. You need to experiment with different possibilities and see what makes the most sense until you eventually find out that the numbers indicated on the plaques align with the number of limbs that each zodiac figure has. Sagittarius has 6 limbs, Taurus has 4 limbs, and Gemini has 8 limbs, which means that you need to enter the numbers into the keypad in the order listed to solve the puzzle. It looks easy when you look up the solution on the internet, but it's actually a living hell for your brain when you do it yourself for the first time. And by the way, I know that I probably destroyed the pronunciation of some of the zodiac signs, but bear with me, guys, because I don't know why the heck Gemini is usually pronounced Gemini or whatever they actually call it. This is a baffling and complex one, and I honestly spent more time trying to figure it out than the time I spent fighting Pyramid Head. The coin puzzle is located in room 105 of the Blue Creek Apartments in Silent Hill 2, and it requires you to locate 3 specific coins from both the Blue Creek Apartments and the Woodside Apartments. These coins are named Coin Prisoner, Coin Old Man, and Coin Snake, and once you have all 3 coins, you'll need to correctly position them in the 5 slots of the coin puzzle dresser to unlock it. However, the dresser features an inscription on its side that provides instructions on how to arrange the coins, and examining the coins will assist you in placing them correctly, but the catch is that when you play the game on the hardest setting, these instructions become more complicated than you think. In the hard difficulty, the dresser inscription says, "First lies the seat of he who is peerless, silent, and empty, heartless, and fearless. Beside him sits one who knows the place of the servant is next to the throne. Dozens of feet, yet not a single Tau. The one that is hidden beside him doth go. Seducer of dreams, creature of Hades lying further from man and closer to lady. Man and woman seeing all heedless to the raven's call. Silent and hidden, the two may be, they be not there for you to see. Return them to whence they would be, and blessing shall descend on thee. I speak thus with the North Star behind me. The birth of the sun is the start of the story." Hopefully you guys are still alive after hearing this, and I didn't curse you with a spell or something. Anyway, after a long time of thinking and messing around, you'll eventually find out that breaking down the poem into its individual sections makes the solution quite obvious. The initial spot is open, followed by the insertion of the coin old man. Then there's an empty hidden slot, followed by the placement of the coin snake, and ultimately the coin prisoner completes the arrangement. However, things get even more confounding when you decide to play the game on extra difficulty, because then you'll get an even longer poem and more options to think about. So my advice to you is to just play the freaking game on easy and save yourself the money you'll spend on healing your headaches. The journey of Heather in Silent Hill 3 is very confusing in itself, let alone adding brain-teasing puzzles on top of it to create even more obstacles for the poor girl. In order to continue her quest in a certain section of the game, Heather Mason needs to access the patient wing on the 2nd floor of Brookhaven Hospital. But the problem is that the door is locked with a keypad with numbers from 1 to 9. Heather has to find the correct code by looking at the clues on a stretcher and a chalkboard nearby, but as usual, Things are not as simple as they might look in theory. Furthermore, each puzzle difficulty has its own clues and solutions, which means that the higher the difficulty level, the more complex the process becomes, and if you play the game on hard, you'll get the most difficult puzzle possible. On hard difficulty, the puzzle's solution is hinted by a memo on the chalkboard, which is a twisted poem dedicated to a lover, even though the author's identity is unclear, as is the reality of the letter or its actual purpose. However, the nearby diary of Stanley Coleman suggests that the code was made by the doctor who might be the same one who abused Christie in the special treatment room, where a nurse enemy, possibly her, is found. The poem seems to be from that doctor and probably about Christie herself, but considering how long it is, I can't read it for you, but it's obvious that it was written by a psychotic, sick person with a disturbing mentality. However, this cruel poem reveals the right buttons and sequences that need to be pushed, and it turns out that the author focuses on the victim's face, and by matching the face to the 9 keys, the arrangement of the keypad becomes clear. To solve the puzzle, you need to imagine that you are the writer and that the keypad is the victim's face. The order in which the writer tastes the face is the solution to the puzzle, and if part of the face is mentioned, but the writer does not actually taste it, you need to ignore it. Anyway, it's an insane puzzle that makes no sense but makes much sense at the same time. I don't know what the meaning of what I said is, but you get the point. Okay, now that we've reached number 1 on the list, you need to understand that there's no messing around here, and anyone who tells you that this puzzle is easy is obviously bluffing or doesn't know what the heck they're talking about in the first place. The Shakespeare Anthology puzzle is the first puzzle that you encounter in Silent Hill 3, and it's basically the puzzle that will give you a taste of how mystifying the game can be, especially since you're probably still warming up at that point in the game. Within the bookstore called My Bestsellers, situated in the Central Square shopping center, several Shakespeare Anthology books have tumbled from a shelf, and for you to progress further in the game, you need to help Heather Mason locate a 4-digit code to enter into a keypad situated on the door behind the counter. And just like most of the puzzles in the Silent Hill series, next to the door, there is a memo providing a clue to assist you in the task. But as usual, the clue makes no sense, just like the puzzle itself. The memo doesn't exist in easy mode, but it gets as complicated as it can be in hard mode. To obtain the code, you need to arrange 5 Shakespeare books that Heather discovered scattered on the bookstore floor, and you'll find all 5 books near an empty shelf within the far right row of books. By correctly placing these books on the shelf, you can uncover the code required for the keypad, and the note situated on the right side of the door provides valuable assistance when deciphering this puzzle. In the hard mode, you get a long memo describing the puzzle, and you need to take some time to carefully read it and then inspect the anthology books within your inventory, making note of their respective anthology numbers. It's also worth mentioning that all these Shakespeare books focus on tragedies, which aligns with the theme of this particular puzzle, and this basically means that you need to focus on each Shakespeare book to know the answer faster. It's really a big mess, and I don't know why the developers wanted to torture our brains like this at the beginning of the game.
Hey, wait, what's going on? Where is everybody? Those weird monsters?
They've come to witness the beginning. The rebirth of paradise, despoiled by mankind.
What are you talking about?
Don't you know? Your power is needed.
How should I know?
I am Claudia.
So what?
Remember me, and your true self as well.
Okay, this is all for today's video, even though there are actually other insanely hard puzzles that I didn't have the time to include on this list. Tell me in the comments below if you succeeded in solving any of these puzzles easily on the first try, or if you had to scratch your head and search online for a solution. And by the way, the catch with some of these puzzles is that you need to solve them in hard mode to get a real taste of what they have to offer when it comes to complexity and sophistication. So if you solve them in easy and normal mode, then that's definitely a completely different story. Anyway, until next time, stay safe and keep the horror going.